So today we're going to be talking everything social media. I just wanted to say first off, welcome. I know it's very hot today, so thank you for all joining me. And I know we all wish we'd be out in the beer gardens, but hey ho, we've always got tonight. So yeah, just get your cup of teas at the ready or coffee. I've just had my coffee. Grab something to eat and let's delve into the wonderful world of social. So I just wanted to start with a bit about me. So if for the people that don't know who I am, sorry if you know who I am, by the way. You're going to have to just sit for an introduction. But yeah, my name is Becca. I'm the digital marketing executive here at WilsonCooke, and I primarily work on social, both within my work and outside of my work. So as well as doing social for a lot of my clients, I also do social in my own time with my own Instagram. And I have a mini Hannah Montana life with the world of being an influencer as well. So that's basically how I got into social, was doing it all kind of myself and then realizing, oh wow, it's actually a job. So that's me. And that was me actually at a influencing event. I went to Heavenly Desserts in Manchester and got some free desserts. So that's always good. I love a brownie. So firstly, I wanted to just start off with the social channels. So a lot of you will know these social channels anyway, but just as a short introduction. So obviously we've got Facebook. Facebook's actually the most used social platform. I don't know if it will end up being taken over by TikTok. We'll get onto that a little bit later on. But Facebook is still the top platform social channel that's being used. Then we've got Snapchat, kind of a dying breed, Snapchat, but it's still there. Instagram, once again, still very, very popular, still in the top used social platforms. Then we've got YouTube. Second most used social platform is YouTube. I'm sure we've all gone on YouTube to have a look at how-tos, tutorials, etc. YouTube's an amazing platform and has been around for a long, long time. Then we've got Twitter. Not used as much as it was doing. It slipped down the rankings, as I'll get onto a little bit later on, but it is definitely still there. Really good with engaging customers, and primarily Twitter's used for kind of like customer service. It's used a lot for that. So for example, if your delivery is late, a lot of people will hop onto Twitter and ask questions there via dropping an email or a call. So that's primarily where Twitter has shifted to. And then we've got LinkedIn. A lot of our B2B clients over here use a lot of LinkedIn, and we'll delve into the world of LinkedIn and LinkedIn best practice soon as well. And then we've got TikTok, new and emerging, and no, it's not just for kids. There is a lot of potential that is going to come from TikTok, and I will move on to that a lot later on. And even with being a B2B client, there is a lot that you can do on TikTok, especially if you B2C as well. So we'll get onto this a little bit later on. And then finally, we've got Pinterest. Quite low down in the social platforms ranking based on usability, but it is definitely still there. Actually, in the previous couple of years, actually usability of Pinterest has increased once again. So yeah. Firstly, I'm going to talk about algorithms and what is an algorithm. And I'm going to kind of bore you with this bit, but this bit is something that is kind of going to drive a lot of what we do. And social media algorithms are a way of sorting posts into a user's feed based on relevancy instead of publishing time. Social networks prioritize which content a user sees in their feed by the likelihood that they'll actually want to see it. So have you ever been on, I'm sure a lot of you have been on Facebook and you have recently engaged with a Facebook page. Let's say, I'm going to just use my own example. I am a bit obsessed with Boohoo and Pretty Little Thing and their social channels and how they run their social media. So I'll often go on there and, you know, give the post a little bit of a like, maybe a reaction. And what I'll see is as soon as I go on Facebook, a lot of those posts will be at the top of my feed. And that's because Facebook has prioritized, right, okay, so this girl loves a bit of Boohoo, she loves a bit of Pretty Little Thing, so we'll stick it at the top of her feed. Exactly the same with Instagram. If you're engaging with a post constantly, if you're engaging with a page constantly on Instagram, odds are it will appear at the top of your feed versus ones that you don't engage with at all. So what does an algorithm mean? Basically, content is sorted on most social feeds based on what the platform deems most relevant to you, which is what I've just explained. This is where the importance of engagement comes in, but we'll come on to this a little bit later on. So like I just mentioned, if you're constantly engaging with a page, it's more likely that it'll appear on your feed. But if we also flip this around, that's exactly the same with the audience that you're using. So if you have an audience that's constantly engaging with your posts, then the more likely it is for your post to then be shown at the top of their feed. But we have how to outsmart algorithms and why we need to. Not gonna lie, algorithms give me a little bit of a headache, mainly because social channels like to change them all the time, especially Instagram. But below we've highlighted some good content ideas to increase engagement and beat the algorithm. Ask questions, tag other accounts in your posts, and take advantage of video content. There are so many stats out there, I could bore you with them, but there are so many stats out there which talk about the value that video content has and how much more engaging video content is. LinkedIn actually came out and said that video content is one of the most engaging pieces of content that you can put out there on their platform. I'm pretty sure that you get 5 times more engagement if you use video content, just to start off the top of my head. So it is massive. And then here we have a screenshot from the lovely Instagram talking about their algorithms. Now, Instagram also came out and said back in, I think it was last year, that they haven't actually changed their algorithm since 2018. I can say that's a big fat lie, because over the past few weeks, especially, Instagram's algorithms have changed so much, hashtag reaches down, etc. But we'll get onto that when we talk about Instagram a little bit later on. But basically what you need to know is that algorithms are basically at the core of every social channel, and it's about outsmarting the algorithms and getting people to engage, asking questions, reaching out to customers, etc. So now I'm going to move on to LinkedIn, and I've got some mind-blowing statistics which can help understand LinkedIn a little bit better. So LinkedIn is an especially good source for discovering leads. HubSpot found that LinkedIn is 277% more effective at generating leads than Facebook and Twitter. I am a big advocate for Facebook and Facebook ads, mainly for retargeting. And if I've worked with any of you on this call, you'll know that I do like Facebook ads, mainly because the cost per click is a lot cheaper than LinkedIn. But what I will always say is that LinkedIn is good for discovering leads. Facebook, I would say, is normally at the top of the funnel. So it's normally more of a brand awareness. So you're reaching people based on their interests, their job titles. The targeting is a lot broader. Whereas LinkedIn, you can really target people based on their job titles. And you can know that those that put their job titles on LinkedIn, 99% of the time, they do say that they're a lawyer. They say that they're a surveyor, etc. Facebook, they might have been a surveyor 10 years ago and might not have changed it. So LinkedIn is a lot more accurate with that, and overall is more effective at generating leads than Facebook and Twitter, for example. What we would say is we would add a professional photo to your LinkedIn profile, so more talking about profiles rather than pages. This on average will get the user 14 times more views than any other types of profile pictures. Try and stay away from the selfies. I know we all love a good selfie on here, let's be honest, we've all taken a selfie. But if you have any professional photos, any photography photos, then add that to your profile. And make sure you list your current position, which goes back to what I was saying. Not only does it help people like me target people like you a little bit better, but list also the 5 relevant skills, as doing so increases the chance that your profile will be discovered and someone will message you more than 31 times than what you would get if you didn't. So make sure you utilize that profile as much as you can. And it's all about the relevant content and posting regularly. So I've listed some posts that work quite well on LinkedIn. It's worked quite well for our clients, but also LinkedIn have also come out and said that a lot of these sort of posts work well anyway. How to post work well. So I've put in a study by OKDoc, which analysed more than 3,000 LinkedIn posts, found that how to and list posts performed well, especially those with titles that had 40 to 49 characters. A lot of this can also link into what you're doing on your blog. So say you put a blog post about, I'm going to go back to fashion because fashion is my sort of niche, but you can really use it for whatever your brand is using. So say I did a blog post on how to style a skirt, for example. and I wrote that on a blog, then I can go and cross-promote it on LinkedIn. Now, the reason why they work very well is because the audience sees value in this. The audience sees value in how-to posts, and it's more of kind of a thought leadership piece. So they're more likely to also engage, which, like I said, also helps with the algorithm. So you can see where it's all working together. Include photo content. So including photos increase the comment rate by 98%, rather than if you didn't use photos and you just used text post. So I'd always use a piece of media in there. Use LinkedIn stories. Yes, LinkedIn have now jumped on the bandwagon of stories. You know, it all started from Snapchat and then Instagram stories and then Facebook stories, and now LinkedIn have hopped on it. The top tip, every social channel loves when you utilize the whole platform. So we'll go on to this a little bit later on, but Instagram with their reels and IGTV, Facebook with their stories, LinkedIn with stories, polls, etc. If you're using more of that platform, they will reward you. Even though it's pretty new and the impact won't be known yet, it's still worth doing LinkedIn stories. And like I mentioned before, use video content. 54% of executives share work-related videos with colleagues at least weekly. Once again, if any of you work with me, you'll know that I always talk about video content and wanting video content, and it probably drives you all nuts, but video content is definitely worth doing. And I know Nicole does it as well. So between me and Nicole, we love posting video content out there because the statistics say it works. It's more engaging. Once again, helps with the algorithm. I would say stay away from posts like this. So your really, really long posts, it takes up too much of people's feed and it gets annoying. No one wants to see you take up their whole feed. Top tip, Sales Navigator also helps you get close to the right people by finding the right leads. Those who use Sales Navigator get 18% more pipeline when finding customers. They also get a 7% higher win rate when closing deals. So you can only use Sales Navigator within profiles, and we've done this a lot with people that we've worked with as well. But Sales Navigator is a really good alternative to LinkedIn ads as well. LinkedIn ads are notoriously very, very expensive. You're looking at like a £500 budget for 2 ads, for example. However, Sales Navigator allows you in your position to get to know people, to have those connections, to have those conversations. And clearly the stats speak for themselves there as well. Hashtags, yes, hashtags do in fact work on LinkedIn. I always use hashtags on LinkedIn. Luckily, LinkedIn suggests hashtags to use based on the content that you're posting about. So if you're like me and you have like 50 posts to schedule in a day, this helps that LinkedIn tell me what hashtags I should be using. You can also follow hashtags to keep connected to the topics you care about. And a lot of this also links into social listening, which is massive. If you're not doing social listening, you need to. So basically what I would suggest is, say you had a hashtag that was specific to your brand or your organization. So I'm going to use one from one of our clients, Endworld. I don't think Rich is actually on this call, but what I would suggest was going on hashtag welding. And you can see the conversations that people are having, and you can start to interact with those people. So if you go on that hashtag welding and you see that people are really having a focus on MIG welding, for example, then that can help with ongoing marketing strategies going forward, because you know that your audience cares about MIG welding. So that's where social listening comes into play, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on. You can do exactly the same on Facebook as well. You can do social listening based on keywords. So like I said, you can type in welding. Twitter, exactly the same. You can type that into the search function. You don't need, I mean, you Sprout Social, but you don't need any, expensive platform to do this social listening. You can do it through the platforms itself. So even just going on Twitter, typing in welding, you can see what people are talking about. You can see what hashtags they're using. You can see what they're engaging with. You can see what kind of conversations that these people are having, which are relevant to your organization. And then finally, LinkedIn has a new poll facility. So if people like to express their opinion, use this and engage with others. So often I'll do this on Instagram stories as well, just to get my engagement up a little bit, but you can do exactly the same on LinkedIn. Ask your audience questions, see what's relevant to them. And you know what? These questions can also impact what you do going forward as well. Next, we're going to go on to Twitter. 82% of B2B content marketers use Twitter for organic content marketing in the past 12 months. I did say at the start of this presentation that Twitter has gone down in the use of platform rankings recently. Other big names are picking up. Instagram, you've got Facebook, you've got TikTok. Twitter is very, very low for usability, but that doesn't mean it should be ignored. If you use it right, you can do it. An increasing number of people are using Twitter for news as well. So how many of you go onto Twitter and you go on the search function, you look at the latest news? I know I do. I don't have a TV. I don't like keeping up with news. But I know occasionally if I'm seeing someone tweet something, I go onto the news feature on Twitter to see the latest news. I'm no longer reading a newspaper. I'm no longer going on BBC. I'm no longer Googling. I'm doing it all through the platform. So looking at Twitter, what content do I post? So once again, use video content. There was a 62% increase in video views from 2019 to 2020. It just goes to show the impact that video content is having. Top tip, Twitter do have a video limit of 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so make it as short and punchy as you can be. Twitter is a communication platform, so like I've said before, engage with related content. If your customers or your audience are tweeting you, make sure to tweet them back, help with that engagement. And experiment with fleets, a new addition to Twitter, but one worth testing, limited information on its performance as it's new. Once again, fleets is basically Twitter's version of Instagram stories, Snapchat stories, Facebook stories, LinkedIn stories, etc. Honestly, I hate fleets. I think they really need to do a lot to make them a lot easier to use. Honestly, I don't know how it's taken them so long to come out with this. It's not amazing, but I would still experiment with it because, like I've said, the platforms love when you use all their features, and Twitter are going to be looking for people that are using fleets in order to push them up that algorithm. Hashtags, debunking everything you may know about Twitter. Their search function is no longer based on hashtags only. So hashtags are not as important to use as on Instagram and LinkedIn, for example. So back in the day, if anyone used Twitter back in the day, I know I first used Twitter in 2011 when I was 13 years old. And I remember all the search function was based on hashtags. So you couldn't actually search based on a keyword, for example. All of it was hashtags and people were constantly using hashtags. Over time, a lot of Twitter search functions are now based on keywords rather than hashtags. However, you can still use relevant hashtags based on events, for example. So International Tea Drinking Day, when we had International Women's Day, there's still hashtags that you can use and you can engage with. Like I said, occasionally, if you go onto social listening, you may see some hashtags that people are using. So let's go back to welding for an example. There might be a hashtag called #WeldingWorld, and in that might be a conversation all about welding. Feel free to use that hashtag. But I'm thinking more if you're using #live, #life, #love, ain't gonna do anything. So really hone into those relevant hashtags if you want to use them. Moving on to Instagram, my biggest headache, and I know if anyone works with me as well, you'll know that Instagram is my biggest headache. However, the statistics speak for themselves. Don't underestimate the power of Instagram for brand and product awareness. 81% of people use Instagram to research products and services. That's massive. 2 in 3 people say that the network helps foster interactions with brands. A lot of people are using Instagram similar to how they've been using Facebook for a lot of years, is to research products, to research brands. And Instagram has the 4th most users of any mobile app. So odds are your target audience is on there. Whether they use it for business purposes or personal purposes, they're on there. And what I'll always say is, one thing that you have to remember is that your audience are people. Even if they're B2B, they're still people. They still use Facebook, they still use Instagram, and they are bombarded with ads. They know they're going to get ads based on stuff that they've seen. They know they're going to get ads based on work-related things. So do not be scared to use these other platforms which necessarily went against B2B, if that makes sense. A lot of people are stuck in just using LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is an amazing platform for B2B, and we've been through that. But I would also say use these other platforms, utilize these platforms that your audience are there. They're there. And we've seen that even using B2B campaigns on Facebook and Instagram, for example, has driven inquiries. And 36.2% of B2B decision makers use Instagram to research new products or services. So once again, that speaks for itself. That ranks ahead of LinkedIn and behind YouTube and Facebook. So a lot of these decision makers are using Instagram to research new products and services. They're using Instagram to research you, whether that's in their own time or whether that's in business time. But it is a really key platform, and it's one of the most used as well. Getting onto the explore page ain't the easiest thing, is the first thing that I'm going to say. More than half of Instagram users check out their explore page every month. I know I do. The Instagram explore page is made up of photos, videos, stories, and of course products tailored for each user based on the people you follow or posts you like, according to Instagram. The explore page is determined by posts that people you follow have liked, posts with higher engagement, and accounts similar to ones that you already follow. So this all links into the same thing as what I was saying before. This is all determined by an algorithm. So once again, if we flip this onto the side based on, you know, what you're doing for your business, if you make sure that you're putting posts out there, you're using video content, you're using photos, you're doing that best practice and you're getting that engagement, odds are you will go onto that explore page. You just need to make sure that that engagement's there and that Instagram will think that your content is relevant to your audience. Now, it seems very easy when I'm saying this, but it's not. It's a lot of hard work and it doesn't happen overnight. But if you're persistent with Instagram and you're persistent with what you're doing and your engagement, and you see your engagement growing, you will get to this point. And trust me, it is a hard process, but you will get there. And then a big one is utilizing the whole platform. So Instagram stories is a massive one. I would say if you're not using Instagram stories, you might as well. 500 million people use Instagram stories per day. That is a massive, massive amount. These are a great way to showcase any related content and disappear within 24 hours. And 58% of people say they've become more interested in a brand or product after seeing it in stories. What we've said to a lot of clients is, show your personality on stories, show your team, show what goes on behind the scenes. People are nosy, people are very nosy, and they love to know what goes on behind the scenes, and it feeds into that bigger picture of brand advocacy, and those people wanting to, you know, see more with your brand, which then leads on to conversion. So you can see where this all feeds down that massive funnel. But yeah, you should be using Instagram stories. Make sure you use polls on there, and you can have ratings on there. Really get as much engagement through those stories as you can and really start a conversation with your audience. IGTV is a good way of distributing content. How-to tutorials are the most popular form of Instagram video content, similar to what I was saying with LinkedIn, but maybe flip it on the side and use more video content for this. Reels now. A new addition to Instagram, but Instagram loves when you utilize all of their features. I can say I've tried and tested this in my own time, and I've noticed that my reach is engaged with Reels, and it's not just me, it's a lot of other people in my community as well. I try and post Reels every other day. Really, ideally, I'd like to post them every day. But I don't think I'm in a position to film myself every day. Normally I finish work and go to bed. However, Reels do really help your reach, and that'll help your engagement as well. So I would definitely, if you're not delving into the world of Reels, I would do. And like I've said, many accounts are seeing a correlation between higher reach and using Reels as well. The art of engagement. So the key to this is engaging with accounts that you follow, relevant accounts on the explore page, engaging with hashtags you use. That is one massive one that I have found. You might find that on your posts, your hashtag reach is very low. And I've said this, I think I said this at the start, Instagram they claim that they haven't, but they must change their algorithm because Instagram hashtags have completely plummeted for everyone. To put it into perspective, my Instagram page, I used to reach a good 15,000 people from hashtags, and that's a lot. Most of my reach came from people that didn't follow me, and I was growing a steady amount. Now my hashtags will reach 50 to 100 people, and there is nothing that's changed differently than what I've been doing. I'm still using the same best practice that I was using a couple of months ago, but it's crazy how much stuff can change overnight. But one thing that I have noticed to try to get it back up is engage with the hashtags that you use. And a lot of other people in my industry are doing exactly the same thing. So go down the hashtags, used on your posts and engage with relevant content with those hashtags. Now, I don't mean putting nice pic, because if you put nice pic, odds are the person that's posted that picture are thinking, yeah, that's a spam comment. Put something like nice, I don't know, nice equipment, and then maybe start a conversation with that. Make sure that it is as genuine as you can get it. Just putting 2 words ain't gonna cut it. And Instagram, top tip, Instagram also like when you use more than 3 words on a comment as well. It shows that you're not being spammy and you are genuinely wanting to engage with similar accounts. What hashtags do I use? Make sure to use hashtags that aren't oversaturated. So hashtag life, hashtag love, everyone uses them, so it's easy to get lost in the flurry of content. I had a conversation with Louise on this call the other day, and I was saying a lot of people think that using hashtags life and love that have, you know, millions of posts on there, a lot of people think, oh, that's great because there's millions of posts on there, people are going to see it. It ain't. It's oversaturated. It's a dead hashtag. You can find if something is a dead hashtag by when you click on a hashtag. For example, let's do fashion style. If you go onto the most popular posts, if those most popular posts haven't been posted within 1 day, odds are it's a dead hashtag. So try to use hashtags that aren't that dead and that have popular posts that are quite recent. Use hashtags that Instagram suggests. So search for a topic and hashtag suggestions will appear. And then obviously go on the hashtag and see if they're dead or not. As mentioned, it's key to engage with these hashtags to increase hashtag reach, and try to use as many hashtags as possible, 30 hashtags, and add them into the caption. Oh, going back on one thing, a lot of people also do post hashtags in the comments. And a lot of people are trying to see if there's a correlation between putting hashtags in your comments and putting hashtags in your caption. A lot of people in my industry and what I've done, I have not seen a change between putting hashtags in my caption or putting hashtags in my comments. So really, I would say it doesn't matter too much. I would argue that at one point, putting them in comments, Instagram seemed to like them, but it doesn't seem to matter anymore. So whether you put them in the caption or the comments, it doesn't matter too much. Finally, moving on to TikTok. I just put this in there mainly because I know there's a lot of clients on here that are quite intrigued to see what they can be doing with TikTok. So TikTok is clearly an emerging platform. We've heard it all on the media, and it really, really blew up in lockdown because a lot of people were on furlough. A lot of people didn't really have much to do. We were in lockdown, and a lot of people were passing the time using TikTok. TikTok is the 7th most used platform. This was done in January of 2021, and I could probably put money on the fact that that's going to rise by next year. Just to put it into perspective, everything that I was saying, Twitter is second to bottom based on most used social platforms. So a bit what I was saying based on how it's used less and less over time. And then we've got TikTok down here. We've got Instagram, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp is being used a lot as well. That's actually classed as a social platform, YouTube, and like I said, Facebook at the top. But as you can see, TikTok has really, really risen in popularity. You know, it's something when it's above Twitter and Pinterest, for example, that had been around for years and years and years. What to post on TikTok, and especially if you're B2B, you probably think, oh, it's not for me. But I think a lot of TikTok is tip 1, you can utilize what you use on TikTok onto other platforms. So if you're doing video content on TikTok, you can then post it on Instagram, you can post it on Facebook, you can post it on LinkedIn. And there goes what I was saying about getting that video content. So if you're doing it already, post it on other platforms. The majority of people use TikTok to find funny and entertaining content. Almost 50% of the best performing ads on TikTok strike an emotional chord, stand out from the crowd, and get involved in trending hashtags. Top tip, I use the app TrendTalk, which helps me find new and upcoming popular sounds. TikTok is a lot based around sounds. So TrendTalk, I actually get a notification every time there's a trending song, and I'll put that behind what I'm doing on TikTok. And often it'll get more views because those are the songs that people are looking at those songs, and people are looking at the TikToks. One massive thing that I found about TikTok is it's all about how you bring people value. People are not going to want to interact with your TikTok if it does not give them value. If they don't see any value in it, if they think it's boring, they're not going to want to. To put it into perspective, I had a TikTok that got 2.1 million views, and that was from my own personal TikTok with what I do with Instagram and YouTube on the side. And that TikTok was based around me taking a shot. And it was based around, if you breathe in when you take a shot and then you breathe out, you don't taste it. The reason why it got so many views and so much engagement was because people found that quality content that enabled that audience to take that tip away and be able to do it themselves. It provided value. And honestly, I hardly put any effort in that TikTok. Basically, I was out at the pub with my mate, and that was my TikTok, and that was my 2.1 million views. But the point that I'm trying to make here is because that provided the audience with something that they can take away. That's the reason why it did so well. So if you have a B2B business, which I know a lot of you are B2B, and you think that the audience might take something away from what you're doing, but you can do it in a very, very savvy way, then feel free to. I've just put an example here of Converse. Now, Converse obviously are B2C, but just to give you an example, Converse did a campaign on TikTok where they got people to design their own Converse and use their own branded hashtag. The branded hashtag then got 54.4 million views, which I know we've got to also think that Converse is, a massive brand. A lot of people know who Converse are. But it's the fact that Converse did something a little bit different that engaged the audience. These people knew that they could get involved with this, so they wanted to. It wasn't something bland. It was something that they found quality in. Another example is, which I feel like might inspire a few people and definitely inspired me of thinking what I can do with my own clients, was there's this corner shop in, I want to say Bolton, but I'm not too sure. And this guy who owns this corner shop went viral on TikTok, because you might think, how does a corner shop make TikToks when they sell, your normal food, drink, etc.? But what he did was he did a thing where people came into his corner shop and said, I'm here for the TikTok. And what he made those customers that came into the corner shop do is try to find a £50 note, or a £20 note, sorry, in the drinks, and they had 10 seconds to do it. And because so many people were coming into his corner shop to do this, that ended up being very, very engaging, but also helped his business as well, because he was out there. He was getting thousands, millions of views because of this. And if you think about it, something so small like having a corner shop he ended up thinking out of the box. And that's what you really need to do with TikTok, is you need to think out the box. I would not sit on here and say that I don't think that you could do it if I thought that, but I do believe that if you do think out the box, B2B can also use TikTok and utilize it on other platforms as well. Finally, I'm going to stop boring you because I'm literally done now. But I've just put down some key takeaways. Use all the features that each channel has to offer. So your stories, your reels, engage as much as you can. Don't post and dip. That's one thing that I say to a lot of people. Once you've posted on Instagram, for example, go down that hashtag that you're using and engage as soon as you've posted. You should, top tip, which I have used for a year and a half now, is you should spend as much time engaging with other posts as you do working on content. The amount of people that I see just posting, putting hashtags and thinking, that's it, the hashtags will do the work, doesn't work like that anymore. You do need to put that extra work in. Get involved in relevant conversations, specifically good on LinkedIn and Twitter, and don't underestimate the power of social listening. So like I said before, go on Twitter, type in the keyword that's related to your brand or organization, go on LinkedIn, look at related hashtags and see what people are talking about. Use that to drive marketing decisions going forward. It's always important to give the audience value and to talk about what the audience sees value in. So make sure that you're social listening and you're getting involved in as much conversations as you can.